Brady can get the Bucs back to the Super Bowl and win his 8th ring?
The chances are pretty high. I'm going to go on a limb and say it's a 90% chance. You know, with Tom Brady coming back, this division is going to be pretty weak. If you look at Carolina, they're not ready to win a division right now. If you look at Atlanta, they still have to figure out how to win. New Orleans is going to have a new quarterback, looks like, this year. And when Tom Brady gets to the playoffs, he's a machine. He played in 14 conference championship games. So when he gets to the playoffs, you can't bet against Tom Brady not getting to the Super Bowl. I know you have Aaron Rodgers, and I just think that bromance that him and LaFleur had in Green Bay, it's over. Once LaFleur didn't go for it on 4th down and didn't trust Aaron Rodgers, I think that little bromance is over. So they're not going to be that 13-3 team that you've seen in the past 2 years. So I think Tom Brady will get the bye. You got to come through Tampa to beat them. And I just think he's going to make another run to another Super Bowl this year.
Brandon, I'm with you. I'm not with you on the 90%. I'm not that high, but I am with you that Tampa Bay's got to be the favorite in the NFC, at least right now. Now, if Deshaun Watson gets traded to a place like San Francisco, they certainly would be a team you got to go through. You know, Matt Stafford, I like him in with the Rams better than Jared Goff, but I got to see him play, you know, winning football, which we really haven't seen much of throughout his career. And I feel you about Rodgers in Green Bay. I just think it was set on a platter for Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur this year in the playoffs. I mean, you had the home field advantage, which he hadn't had a lot in those NFC title games, and he didn't deliver. And we can complain all we want about Matt LaFleur's play call and not going for it on 4th down, but Aaron Rodgers is the one that decided not to run the football on 3rd down and try to go for the score, at least get to the 1 or 2 yard line. So Rodgers just hasn't played up to his ability when the chips are, you know, at their highest, like in these NFC title games, except for the year he won the Super Bowl a decade ago. So I'm with you. I think Tampa Bay is the favorite, rightly so. I think that they will bring back Gronk, Antonio Brown, and Leonard Fournette, and they got to bring back Shaq Barrett. But I think the first 3 guys I mentioned, I don't think the market's going to be huge for them because I think people look at them as being, you know, guys that performed and were at their best as far as behavior because of Tom Brady and because of that environment he created in Tampa Bay. So I think they can bring those guys back. They'll probably lose Chris Godwin, but I still think with Brown and AB and Mike Evans and Scotty Miller and the rookie Tyler Johnson from last year, I think their receiving core will still be strong. And that's not even to mention the tight ends that they have. So Brandon, you probably will like this. I think there's a good chance we'll see a rematch of Kansas City, Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. And I'm going to go with your former team this year to get revenge, Kansas City beating Tampa Bay if they get there next season.
One thing we're forgetting about, Chris and Jason, you know, they wasn't running the New England Tom Brady offense at the beginning of the year. So it took him a while to get in sync. Once he got his offense going down, they went 8-0 at the end of the year. And they also are going to add O.J. Howard coming off injury. Yeah, he might be there to the latter part of the year going into the playoffs, but that's when Brady needs him. So you're adding another weapon in O.J. Howard with an offseason with Tom Brady, with this receiving core. I think they're going to hit the ball rolling this year rather than stumbling out the blocks a little bit like they did last year because Bruce Arians now just trust what Tom Brady is going to do, trust that Tom Brady is going to stay, and let him go ahead and win me another ring.
All right, Brandon, I don't want to be the negative Nancy here, but I got to say, you look at that playoff run that Tampa had, okay? They beat the 4th-string quarterback in Washington. Washington was under 500, okay? Then, you know, obviously the Green Bay win was impressive. I do need to point out they took advantage of Green Bay being without their left tackle, Bakhtiari, and they just annihilated Aaron Rodgers at the line of scrimmage. They sacked him 5 times, okay? Then you go to the Super Bowl, and it's like, oh, the Chiefs don't have their left tackle either? I don't know how I missed this. What a brick, miscalculating how instrumental Eric Fisher was. And it's a jailbreak on every single play. Patrick Mahomes running for his life. No quarterback in Super Bowl history had faced that much pressure, according to the numbers, that Patrick Mahomes faced. I just want to, it felt like a charmed ride for Tampa and everything lined up perfectly. I mean, Brandon, do you really think they are 90% going back to the Super Bowl?
If I'm looking at the NFC, I don't see any team except maybe Green Bay that can give them a run in the playoffs. Like Chris said, I don't see Matt Stafford going from winning no playoff games to just making an unbelievable Super Bowl run. Seattle's trying to figure it out over there. I don't know if Shanahan is in love with Jimmy G in San Francisco. It's just what team in the NFC can possibly give these guys a run but Green Bay. I don't think Green Bay will have the year that they had last year. That's why I think it would be an easier ride rather than going through Breeze in New Orleans, going to Green Bay to try to get a Super Bowl run. I think it's going to be set up even smoother of a ride for Tom Brady this year, and that's why it's a 90% chance for me.
Brandon, thank you. J-Mac, we can't let you get away with this foolishness. A charmed ride? What? They won 3 straight games on the road to get to the Super Bowl. I get it. You want to write off Washington, fine, but they did have a good defense. But then you go in New Orleans and beat Drew Brees, and then you go to Lambeau and beat Aaron Rodgers? They were everybody's favorite going into the playoffs, Green Bay. And if it wasn't Green Bay, it was New Orleans. It was anything but a charmed ride. And then, look, I get it. Kansas City's front line or, offensive line was banged up. But still, most people thought the Chiefs were going to win that game, and they still were very dangerous. So stop it with the charmed ride. Come on, J-Mac. Okay. You're better than that.
So, Brandon, this is perfect. This is perfect. Let me ask you about that New Orleans game, okay? I don't want to revisit history. Drew Brees vomited all over himself in that game. 3 interceptions, okay? Then the Jared Cook fumble. I mean, Tampa Bay's longest touchdown drive against New Orleans was 40 yards. They didn't have to do anything. Brady got the game handed to him by Drew Brees because he had arguably the worst postseason game of his life. And again, I'm not diminishing Tampa, even though it sounds like I am. I'm just stating facts and reality. They had a very, very fortunate run to winning the Super Bowl.
But that's what makes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers special. It's not all about Brady. This defense came alive in the playoffs, and Brady is the perfect game manager. He knows when he doesn't have to score 40 points to win a game. He knows sometimes I can just win with scoring 17 points, throwing for 185